Hey everyone, Sparks back with another Echocalypse video, and we are doing a global tier list. So the first thing to understand here before we get into it is that the skills and kits for the global version is not exactly the same as the version I've been playing, which is on the C server. They are very similar, but they have made balancing tweaks since they've released the game in various regions, and we are apparently going to get one that is the same or very similar to the most recent one that went live before global, which is CN. So, if you just look up things that are like currently available, it's really hard to find information on this. So I have done a deep dive into Chinese websites, done a lot of Google Translate, talked to people on the Discord, looked through Reddit articles. I've spent way too much time doing this. I was like up like hours and hours last night and looking at different tier lists that people had already done and like reading skill descriptions, also, considering my own experience of how I've played with the characters on the C server. Anyway, so just needless to say, I'm trying to bring you the most accurate information possible, but things could potentially, be different once we actually start playing in the game. It's hard to get things exactly 100%. But with that said, let's go ahead and dive into it. I won't, talk about each character too much. Otherwise, this video could be super long, but I'll just give like a really quick overview on what they do and then put them in their tier. Okay, so before we get into all the SSRs, I want to give a quick shout out to some of the SRs that you might find useful. You're not going to start out with a full team of SSRs, of course. And the first one I want to talk about is Snezana. Not only does she look fantastic, but she is going to be a pretty powerful attacker that you can use right away. She's one of the main characters in the story. Another one, if you're lucky enough to pull her, an SR healer is Yori. She's like this cowgirl, and she has really, really powerful heals, actually, like almost like SSR level kind of healing ability. So she's going to be super useful if you're lucky enough to get her. And then Eriri is another healer, another main character that you can get by with using for a long time if you don't get another one. Good, for healing. Then you have Zen, who is another pretty powerful attacker for an SR. She is going to be part of the initial new player rewards, so you can use her as well, and she will serve you quite well until you get more SSRs. Okay, so now let's actually go into the SSRs, and we're going to be starting off at the D tier, and we're going to work our way up. So the first one I want to talk about is Firentia. Shout out to all my redheads. You guys know that usually I like them, but unfortunately, she's an attacker unit, and there's just other units that do a lot better job at being your primary attacker. Then we have Camelia, I guess maybe it's actually supposed to be pronounced. She, again, is another attacker, and just like there's a lot better attacker options. If you get any SSRs, it's going to be, probably better than a lot of SRs, but still, you have better options. Our next one is Bestat. She's kind of a supporter. The thing is, like, she doesn't do a great job of supporting. Like, she applies a shield when she retreats, but then it's like, things are going wrong if your unit has died. So, there's that. Then you have Set. She's an attacker. I actually really like her design. She's pretty cool. She can do some burning, but again, just better attacker options out there. Then you have Regina, who is a kind of weird support evade unit. She's kind of one of the only units that like buffs evade like this, but I don't know. Yeah, not super useful. And then Wajet is a support that can actually turn all of the enemies into mummies, which is a crazy powerful effect, but it just has a really low proc rate, and it's just not really a reliable thing that you want to be trying to do. Then you have Nightingale. She's kind of a support unit that can silence enemies. It's decent, but you have other better like crowd control options. Okay, getting into the C tier, you have Taweret. She's an attacker, kind of she has a finisher bonus damage, so like a target the enemy with the lowest HP. Can actually be pretty strong, but you do have some even better attacker options. Baphomet is kind of a supporter that will also go into the C tier here, and she's just okay. Like, she's probably a really, really good example of a C tier unit. Then you have Yulia, who is a support. Pretty useful, actually, because she's one of the few units that actually can taunt and then has some damage reduction. Shiyu is kind of a pseudo DPS with a built-in revive. She could be really good, at least initially. but might kind of start to fall off. Then you have Garula, who is a support. She does some damage mitigation, and she used to be like literally the worst unit in the game. Like if you play on C server, she's terrible, but she has gotten a lot of buffs since then, so she's kind of making it into the C tier here. And then you have the main character. The main character will actually start as an R, and then throughout the story will then get promoted to an SR, and then eventually an SSR. They're kind of a balanced all-rounder with some control effects. They're a decent unit that can, kind of do whatever you need them to do. They're a great, like, 6 unit, but you're eventually going to get better options. Moving into the B tier, you have Pan. I'm a big fan of her design. She's a support that can apply shields, can definitely help you out quite a bit. I think we're getting to, the much more useful units at this point. And then you have Winnow, who is the new unit that was previously a CN exclusive that we are now getting on the global server. She isn't like a super top tier unit, but should be pretty useful. I also really like her design. She's a support kind of all-rounder with like debuffs and can cause burning. Burning is a very, very strong effect in this game. Going on, we have Stara. She's an attacker, can be pretty powerful and will kind of like snowball buffs. And then we have Dina, who is a support that has really, really powerful heals. Possibly the best just straight up healer in the game, but you're gonna have some other units that kind of like do more that also heal. But for just pure healing power, Dina is really, really, really strong. Our next one is gonna be Zawa. She's kind of a pseudo DPS, really good against certain bosses because she steals buffs from enemies and then makes herself stronger. So really unique abilities and someone that you will be really, really happy to get. Our last one in the B tier is going to be Nephthys. She's a support. She can heal. In fact, her normal attack just does like a healing. That's very unique. And then her special attack also does healing. And she can also cause burning. A really, really good unit. And she's rated really high actually in like the C server tier list and is a very good long-term investment. But we'll see kind of how she ends up actually being here in global as we move forward. Okay, moving on into the A tier, we have Niz. Now, Niz is really cool because she's a unit that you're going to get after completing all of your newbie missions, and she's kind of a pseudo DPS that can freeze enemies. This is like one of the best options for crowd control. Freezing enemies will make it so they like can't act, and she's going to be really, really useful for you. Our next one is going to be Fenriru. She's an attacker, and you get her right away for free as part of that 7-day login bonus when you start the game. And she's just kind of a nuke. She'll hit like a bunch of enemies. You also get her weapon, her gun for free, which will just make her like really, really powerful. And it's going to be hard to get the weapons for other characters. So just that alone will be good. But even in and of herself, she is a very strong attacker. She'll probably start to fall off as we get some more units, but is really, really good for right now. And everyone should have her on their team. Then we have Rayon, who is also an attacker. Again, really, really strong. She does a massive AoE and causes burning. You will not be disappointed to have her on your team as well. And then our last one in the A tier, up here at the top of A tier, I considered putting her into S tier, is going to be Vivi. Vivi is a support, and she's just one of the best supports you can have. She has rage reduction on enemies, which will keep them from doing their supers. And so, if they're never doing their like special attacks, then like they're just like that much worse, right? Okay, moving on to our S tier. Now we only have a couple units here in the S tier, and our first one is going to be Kiki. Kiki is probably the strongest DPS in the game here on launch. She has huge damage modifiers and will start with rage, meaning she can use her special right away. So Kiki, again, has an amazing looking design. If you're a fan of waifu collectors, you're definitely going to want Kiki, and she's also going to be the strongest DPS you can get. Our next S tier unit is going to be Audrey. She's a support and is probably going to be a very good long-term investment and is not just good here on launch. She's been very good across all servers. She can give you regen. She also gives units raise, and she will start with rage herself. So really, really powerful support unit. probably the best support unit in the game. Now, the last unit I want to talk about is technically not a launch character, but is probably going to be the first or one of the first units that we get as a new banner, and that is Aiken. And she is an attacker and is a very powerful DPS, possibly even better than like Fenriru and Kiki. So keep that in mind if you're like, depending on like who you want to build, we might get her really soon, and so maybe you want to put more into like maybe your supports. Although, if you get Kiki, like you'll probably just use her, and then maybe you don't even need to pull for Aiken. But just something to keep in mind, a unit coming out real soon that will be very, very, very powerful. All right, that's all I have for you guys on this tier list. Let me know if you have any questions below. I'm going to be doing a live stream for the official launch later tonight. I've also made several other guide videos. I'll put some link to those in the description below. Let me know if you have any comments on these units and who you're hoping to go for. And then one final note here on re-rolling, okay? This game is not really designed to reroll, okay? So theoretically, we could be like, Audrey is like a major reroll target, but you can't really start pulling for units until you've leveled up. And so you literally have to play for hours until you can actually do your pull. So technically, you could reroll if you want to be super dedicated. I do not actually recommend it. I do not plan on rerolling. The game gives out a lot of generous rewards. We're going to get SSR selection boxes. It's going to throw free stuff at you. And so I would just, play from the beginning and like see what it gets you and enjoy it, and you'll get good stuff along the way anyway. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys later tonight on stream and on my other videos. Please subscribe, makes a huge difference, and I will catch you guys in the next video.